cities are home to and perpetuate by their very nature certain forms of violence. And we need to begin to address violence against women in public spaces, in cities, as within this larger discourse of the nature of urbanization that's taking place. Because this urbanization that's taking place is in many ways exclusionary. It's exclusive. It's not an inclusive form of urbanization. Thus, women become one of the sets of people, one group, along with others, such as the poor, such as people living, the migrants, people living in the far-flung areas of the city, who are, through the way the city develops, actually facing more violence. We saw a sort of a surge of interest and public discourse and media discourse around the December 16th case. And I think it was an amazing moment to have so many people speak out on violence. But what we also know is that it is the everydayness of violence which defines a woman's experience of the city. It is not only those moments when there is an assault or a rape. Every morning when I step out into the city and I'm going to use public transport or I'm walking around, there is a fear in me that I might face violence. It is not that I face violence every day, but that fear that I might face violence begins to define the way that I experience a city. It begins to define the way that I think I can experience a city. So nobody else needs to tell me don't do this. I myself begin to police the way I think I have the right to the city. So it's a very insidious way whereby we ourselves take away our right to the city because of fear. So we need to address fear. It is not enough to address just the incidents of violence. And that's why it's important that for Jagori, we took up a campaign like the Safe Delhi campaign, which has been supported by the UN Women, by Delhi government, by Women's Future Service, by a range of other partners, because it has to be in a campaign mode. It has to address a range of stakeholders who occupy the city, who believe they have a right to the city, and who do things in the city. So very often when we talk about violence, we tend to sort of point our fingers at the police. Now, I'm not in any way excusing the police. I think the police have their role in creating safety. But I also ask my question, if we had a police van in every corner of the city, would we have a safe city? No. So policing is not the only thing we're talking about. We need to begin to look at which are the other institutional structures and service providers that need to provide safety, that need to recognize that they have a role in safety. And I think some of the key ones that we have begun to identify is public service providers. So for example, we do find even something as simple as lack of infrastructure, lack of proper lighting, even in a city, the capital city of Delhi, contributes to lack of safety. The amount of sort of violence that takes place inside public transport is another area that we need to address. And we need to address this not just by ourselves carrying safety pins, but by actually getting service providers such as the bus companies, such as the metro, to begin to address this. We have seen this happening in Delhi. So this campaign has begun to make inroads. For example, DTC is very much involved in training of their own drivers and conductors to say that what are they going to do when they find things happening in their bus. The metro, of course, one of the responses was the women's coach. The other has been a sustained campaign on the metro to say that, what is unacceptable behavior, why is the fact that metro police are there. We need to have campaigns with auto drivers, we need to have campaigns, because we need to get all of them as stakeholders in this process.